on my left is Walt Hollingsworth. The second candidate is Fred O'Neill. And on my far left is Mr. Mike Patterson. Betty McVeigh, who was introduced as the timekeeper, is seated right down here in front. And my assistant moderator is Georgia Simons, who, in the absence of my wife, is on the beach somewhere in North Carolina as we speak. Has delegated her responsibilities to Georgia. We help to keep me straight in putting together the questions and making sure that we avoid duplicates and that we get to as many questions from you as possible. Timekeeper. Betty will be flashing several panels at these candidates at various points. She'll flash the yellow panel at the 30-second mark. And when their time has expired, she will throw herself on the floor. Other ground rules here. The candidates will have opening statements of 2 minutes apiece, and then we will move to questions. We have an order for this, which I'll explain in a minute. And they'll have 2 minutes to respond to their questions, each question. And then they will, at the end of the forum, they will make closing statements, again, with 2 minutes in length. We have solicited questions from various individuals, including members of the league, and we will ask you to submit written questions also. And pass those over to league members like Jackie and Robin and others who are seated here, and we will try to get to as many of those as we can during the question and answer period. We are, as an organization, committed to nonpartisanship, so we do ask that the audience refrain from applauding or demonstrating support in other ways during the course of the evening. And we ask also that you turn your cell phones to the stun position or put it off first, so we're not interrupted by those during the evening. We have Winston Jones is here from the Carrollton Times, Georgia, and I think he is the media representative for this evening. Okay, that's the video's back here in the corner.
Oh, and we also have, you fellas introduce yourselves? Carrollton Media. They're on Facebook.
All right, great. Well, the candidates drew for position for the opening statements, so Georgia, who got the lucky?
Patterson.
Okay. Mike Patterson will make the first opening statement, and that means that Walt will make the final statement as we do for this evening. Can you all hear me in the back? We'll have Mike speak first, and then we will move to his left, which in this case he moves counterclockwise all the way around to Walt, and then Fred. So Fred, actually, you're the one who's going to make the final statement. Okay. Any questions about the procedures before we start?
Bruce, do the other members get to respond to a question that was asked, respond to the answer, rebuttals?
We don't know.
Okay.
Most of the questions will be addressed to all of the candidates. If there's questions aimed at one candidate in particular, we'll ask that person to respond. We won't take up additional time by asking the others to respond. Okay. Then let's begin. No other questions about the procedures. Let's begin with Mike's opening statement.
Thank you. First, thank the league for sponsoring this forum for us. I thank all of you for responding and coming out. I'd like to see this kind of response on November the 3rd at the polls to encourage everybody to come and exercise their right to vote. If you'll allow me an opportunity to kind of revisit a little history that brought me to this point. I was elected to council in 2009. I was reelected in 2013. Have enjoyed serving immensely. I represent Ward 2 on the northeast side. I really didn't have a lot of aspiration for higher office. I had mentioned a time or two that if Wayne decided not to run, that I might give it some consideration. He waited to the last minute, but he did let me know that he was going to withdraw and retire. And so I went ahead and qualified. He and I worked together pretty well over the last 6 years, along with the rest of the council, and have accomplished quite a bit of work for the city of Carrollton. We do have slightly different management and leadership styles. A Patterson administration will probably look somewhat different than a Garner administration has appeared. But the one area that we're synced on is, and I'm sure along with all of you, is that we both love the city of Carrollton, and we want the best for it. We want to see it continue to grow and prosper. And Carrollton has experienced a phenomenal growth over the last 6 years, and we're very proud of that. It's especially given that the first 3 of those were devastating in a recession. But with good conservative policy from the city and basically from the staff, we've maintained a balanced budget, and we're actually sitting on about $15 million in reserves, along with about a $5 million SPOS reserve. So it's financially we're in good shape, staff-wise we're in good shape, and thank you. And I know when to shut up.
And Walt, you'll be next.
Next, I'm just gonna stand.
I'm Walt Hollingsworth. This is my 3rd run at this situation. I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to see all y'all here. It means that y'all care. We have issues facing us in the next 4 to 8 years that I think we need to address very hardly. We have some issues involving, as Mike's already led to a little bit, our growth issue. We have a little bit of out-of-control growth, and we really need to go back and revisit some of our redevelopment policies that Mike had then put in place, and now they seem to let slide by the wayside. I don't necessarily agree with some of it, but I am pro-growth. I am pro-growth in the right direction. We do have extra money in the city. We do have a little extra money still laying around in SPLOST, but we haven't spent a lot of SPLOST money. And we're going to have to come up with some other ways to come up with some more money. The Greenbelt has been a great asset to the city. It has caused a lot of great community involvement. A lot of people are using over where I live at Hayes Mill. But one of the issues we have with the Greenbelt that we're going to have to address is how we're going to keep it up. If I was running some numbers yesterday, 2,250,000 square feet when it gets completed. That's going to put a strain on the Parks and Rec Department. We're going to have to find some extra money for Mr. Kent to keep up the trash, keep the weeds cut, keep things in control. It's going to be a challenging next 4 years. But I think with my ability and my tenacity, I think we can pull it off in great spice. Thank you very much.
Greetings and good evening, all of you. Thanks for all your investment of your time today in this political process. I'm Fred O'Neill. Many of you know me already. I've been a resident of Carrollton, Carroll County for 37 years. Really have enjoyed my life here. My wife Lillian and I were both educated here and have raised our family here. I've had opportunity to operate our main business here as well as participate in a lot of business-related ventures. So I'm joined today by 2 individuals who are certainly concerned about the city, as well as all of you. Thanks indeed for winning voters for this great forum. I'm humbled, really, by this opportunity again to serve. It's been a great pleasure for me to be involved with so many numbers of community and nonprofit organizations. For all of us here, we are all the beneficiaries of this great city. All the elements exist here to have an ideal city. I want to continue our great legacy of leadership as we pursue this vision. Thank you. Look forward to the questions.
That concludes the opening statements, and now we'll begin with the questions. And because Mike made the first opening statement, Walt will be the first to respond to the first question. And here it is. What do you think the top strategic priorities should be for the city of Carrollton for the next 5 years? Walt, this question's for you. And the rest of the country.
Could you repeat that one more time, Mr. Fox?
What do you think the top strategic priorities should be for the city of Carrollton for for the next 5 years?
We're going to have to work on our infrastructure really hard. We have some pitiful roads, and we have some pitiful sewer systems, and we have some pitiful stormwater systems. Downtown, we made a great effort on Living Road. We spent a lot of money on Living Road. But unfortunately, Maple Street looks a lot worse than what Bankhead did. And I would like to see what Joe Garrett put in the paper 6-7 months ago in one of his articles. You see, I'd like to see all the power lines down on Maple Street going out to the college. That should be one of our signature roads going out to the college. It seems to be one of our biggest draws here. Tanner's doing a heck of a job on Dixie Street. Maple Street's in kind of disrepair. I believe Rome Street can stand a little bit of help. Mostly we're going to have to concentrate on infrastructure. We're not going to be able to keep buying property, taking out money out of the tax digest. We're going to have to go back and invest back in what we've got. We've got a good structure, but it needs a lot of repair, it needs a lot of maintenance. We need to, I don't know where to start with it, to be honest with you. Square is going to be a major issue. Water comes in up there, there's not enough sewer system to take the water off. As a kid, not a kid, 10 years ago, Charles Pope was doing it, we were putting concrete bottoms in the sewer system going down where surface supply used to be on Rome Street. We were actually pumping concrete under the streets of Carrollton trying to keep the pipes up, keep from having to dig up all the old buildings. It's some issues that we're going to have to look at.
I've been a businessman here for many years, and certainly have enjoyed this environment that we live in for all the great opportunity we've had over the past numbers of years since I've been here. And part of that, part and parcel, has been new ideas, new economic development, new growth, and I do believe that that should continue as we continue to build an ideal city. Part and parcel, we've been able to attract good industries here within the city, within the county corridors, a lot of the industries. Part of that has to do with what we've built here, which we all enjoy, which is a good common theme, a good caring community. So, but I do believe that economic development is continually very important, so that the individuals continue to have a standard of living, a lifestyle that we've all have enjoyed, and that's for everybody. And this, as I view things, it's not one group that matters, but all groups matter. Second to that, in order to enhance that, and I'm talking to folks at the Department of Labor and our Labor Commissioner, we must have a prepared workforce, individuals that can certainly fill those slots. As I look around the room here, I see a lot of individuals who have worked in industry, business, education, and you always wonder who's going to be the next person who's going to be the moderator here. So having a prepared workforce and leadership development is very key to us. And also, again, the things that we take for granted. I travel all over the country and see a lot of things in terms of having just a beautiful city, a great city, good culture. We also want to maintain good safety for our citizens, make sure that there's good interrelation between our citizens and our police officers. So those are the things I think are key. As we build those particular elements, they feed into the other elements that are important to us, including infrastructure, those type of things. Thank you.
Sorry to stand up last time. I concur with what Fred said to a point. Carrollton is in a unique position as far as surrounding cities go. We have the infrastructure, we have the water supply, we have the systems in place in the land to attract business for jobs and growth. And I think that's the key to where we're going in the next 4 to 8 years, is to be sure that we attract the companies that come here. People like West Georgia Technical College that moved their headquarters here. There was a reason behind that. They liked it downtown. The Southwire, the Tanner, all those folks are growing here, and they've made an elected stadium. Thankfully, we were able to maintain and keep the courthouse, the Justice Center. Thank you, Mr. Smith, where are you? Downtown, and it's been a huge, vibrant growth. We got to look at the possibilities of continuing to grow the square to downtown and also attracting jobs and employers. Carrollton is a city with its recreation, with its green belt. I know it's going to be tough to maintain, like Walt said, but the green belt is something that no other city anywhere of our size has anything similar. And the amazing part of it is that the majority of it has been built with private funds, which is we're so thankful for. But the city has the capability to maintain it, help maintain it. That's a draw. And those jobs that come with those employers, as they come to Carrollton and look, They're attracted by a community, a sense of community, and a lifestyle. And that's what we have here in Carrollton. And with, hopefully, if we can maintain some solid conservative leadership at the city level, and primarily maintain our city staff that we built, worked so hard to build, and their jobs. That's who makes this thing work. It's not the politicians, it's the people on staff that are working on it. Thank you.
All right, the next question concerns the library, and Fred, you first answered this question. What do you see as the city's role in contributing toward the support of our public library?
It's a good question. You know, I grew up in an inner city, and one of the vestiges we had a great public library system. And I've visited Neiman Olmsted Library many times and been over there for various reasons. My children participate in a lot of programs over there. And libraries, even today in this multicultural infotech space that we live in today, are still very important. They provide a lot of services. They provide a lot of support for individuals, particularly for individuals who don't have computers, and also individuals who read or youth programs and those type of things. So I'm a big supporter of public libraries, and I've seen libraries around our area within our region. I know the libraries here, the library board here has worked very hard to maintain that facility. The facility is outdated. There's work that needs to be completed to make sure that it's modernized and meets the needs of our citizens. But I would be in support of developing libraries and continue to work with the library's plan going forward, funding and public-private types of arrangements. So I'm a big supporter of libraries. I feel like that they do serve a very great need in our community, particularly in our library here.
Mike?
The public library, as most of you know, we've been working with Ronnie and the council has for several years in looking at improvements as well as looking at renovations and growth. Initially, we had some naysayers that also the library is not necessary anymore. Everybody's on electronic, everybody's on computers, and everybody's online. So, but as it turns out, I don't remember now what the numbers were, but it's huge at the number of visitors that go through that library every year. And for that reason, the mayor and council and the city leadership has stepped up behind that operation. They have a plan for renovating the existing Neiman Olmsted Library, and it's going to be modernized. I think you'll be pleased if we continue to do that. Michelle Morgan hit me up at a meeting last week and wanted us to make sure that the city would pony up a little more money. And I said, well, you're talking to the wrong guy. I had to quit my job there, but anyway, the city as a whole is already stepped up and committed. I know 750 or 800,000. It's probably going to be more than that as time goes along in SPLOST or funds that will go together with the county, and that package will go to state in January with the legislative contention we have here, and they will move forward to get to acquire funds from the state for that library system. So yes, we're fully behind it. I am, and it's going to work. They've got a great operation over there, and we're certainly going to continue to support that. Thank you.
Oh, the library is very dear and personal to my heart, mainly because my father built the original building that's sitting on Wall Street. I was a young fellow when he built it, but I think it was Doug Cunningham and Ray Roddenberry that actually built out, with the architects for the original building. But I also remember going down on Maple Street to the little building down there where the library was also as a little kid. Then when we built the new one, we spent a lot of time there as a child. I think the library is vitally important. I mean, I talk to a lot of people every day that go to the library just to use computers, just to fill out job applications, to get internet access so they can't afford it at home. It needs to be almost open 24 hours a day if we could possibly make that happen. I don't think that's a possibility, but somebody would be in the library 24 hours a day with this 24/7 world that we live in if it was open 24 hours a day. We need to throw as much money as possible as we can to it. I understand from talking to the library staff, personnel, friends of the library, The library's not interested in moving. They want to stay right where they are. It's going to take a little bit of creativity to get them a new building, to accommodate what they need on the footprint that they have. Used books in the back sales are flourishing. People just go all the time. We really need to concentrate a lot on the library for our older people, our older population that really just can't afford to pay that $90 to $100 a month worth of charter internet. I mean, why pay it when you can go use it at the library for free, plus all the books and everything there? I remember those big Dewey Decimal System that was there. I guess it's not there anymore. It's all on computer. So, talking to kids nowadays, what do you know about the Dewey Decimal System? I said, what's that? It's kind of a thing. Yeah, the library is a very important aspect of Carrollton. And it needs to be more of an aspect. It needs to be more front burner. And we really need to push that hard.
Thank you. Next question, Mike will be the first to respond to this one. It is about 5 years ago, the mayor and city council enacted a retirement plan for themselves, being retroactive 8 years. This is on top of full paid health insurance benefits. What are your thoughts about this? Considering that these are all very part-time jobs, do you think this is appropriate? Mike?
I'll tell you, like my dad used to, you're allowed a good bit for the ballot. That was about 8 years ago that they passed that stuff back. Because I wasn't on council at that point in time. I'm not sure I would have voted for it at that point in time. When I came on board, it was already in place. I did some research, actually prior to the last council election, which that was a point that came up. About half of the cities our size in the state of Georgia, 15 to 50,000, about half of those have some sort of elected official pension plan. The other half do not. It's, like I said, it was passed. If I'm elected and it's the wishes of the council to rescind it, I probably would not. I would not block a vote. I'm not sure that it was a great idea to start with, and it's you're right. It's a part-time job. If you work it right, if you do your job, you'll spend enough time as a $300 or $800 a month compensation package. You'll spend enough extra time to probably earn some of that pension. But there again, if I had been in place when it was enacted, I'm not sure that I would have voted for it. But at any rate, if it comes up again, I won't block the rescinding by a long shot. I think our new council member may indeed bring that to the vote. So to give you an idea, I think it's probably a nice benefit. It's not that expensive, but it's not necessarily something that I would have supported had I been there. So, thank you.
Walt?
The pension plan was one of my things 4 years ago. It's a part-time job. It's a service job. It's a service to the community. It's a service to the residents of Carrollton. This is not a lifestyle. This is just something you do to give back. To lose yourself to service to others. I believe Mike was on the board when it got brought back up to be re-voted on again, and it died from the lack of a second. And I think I was sitting in this room when he made the same comment that he took about 27 hours a month to do his job as a city councilman, and he justified him voting for the pension plan there. If I'm elected, first thing I want to do is try to make a referendum for the city members of Carrollton, Georgia to decide if they want a pension plan. Not the city council. I want to put it on a referendum some kind of way so you decide if you want a pension plan for the city council. It's a part-time job. They meet once a month. Sometimes they meet once a month. A lot of times they don't meet at all. There's a lot of things that can be discussed whether they have anything on the agenda or not. I don't know if you know if they have any work sessions. So it will be one of my things on, the first thing I do on my agenda was put a block on it, put a hold on it, and make a referendum. Let the people of Carrollton decide if they want a pension plan for the city council or not.
This particular topic, I know has come up in various conversations. I thought a little bit more about it, so I take a little different approach. Again, this bill, this change in city council pension has already been enacted. It's already was enacted prior to our city. However, I guess the first thing I would consider is that, what would be the legal rail to make any change in it in terms of what's already been cast or whatever the law states or what's already been approved. The second thing is that, as it was brought up, there are a number of communities of this size that have pension programs for city councilmen. And one thing I would be interested in is comparability in terms of how we stack up against other cities in terms of benefits overall. The question does come up regarding how much time is committed for the pay and those types of considerations. So again, if you look at those things, I want to still look at it in terms of comparability, in terms of how other cities provide compensation for their city council. The final thing is that as I looked at it, and I've spent a lot of years, a lot of my career has worked in pension and retirement pay and those types of things, so I have a little bit of background in this area. Depending on how this is structured, and I know how the city council mandate is written, city council members and mayor, etc., they have a certain fiduciary responsibility. As a result, albeit it is a volunteer role and to some degree, or paid role, however you call it, but I still want to make sure that for the work that's being carried out, what responsibility we have, that everything is done from a benefits point of view, from comparability, how it compares to other scenarios of the settings. And sometimes you have to think about how I look at things in terms of what's at stake. If you have individuals run a $20 million budget, and I have no vote one way or the other at this point on that pension, what is fair compensation to have that type of responsibility? What is efficiency in those areas? So I would probably conduct more of a study as it compares to other cities, look at the benefits more in depth, compensation overall, and then determine our next course of action based on the findings of the fund.
Next question will be answered first by Walt. Transportation question. We've had several of those. Many of our citizens are lacking in transportation, which greatly affects their ability to get a job, attend their children's school for conferences and events, attend doctor's appointments, and meet other basic needs. While a study is being done to assess the situation, what are your thoughts about the promotion and support of the public transportation system? And Walt, you first.
Well, I remember that the Three Rivers proposed transportation to the county board of commissioners. And I don't exactly really know how that really came down or where it fell out, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people were opposed to it, said we couldn't fund it. A lot of people said it was funded another way. It was $1, $2 ride. I don't have enough information on my hands to make a justifiable decision about that. That came more through the county deal than it came through the city. Granted, we do need some kind of transportation system. At this point in time, I'm just not real sure which way we need to run with that. Understood originally the park that was built by the courthouse was going to be a bus stop. That was proposed by Mr. Chappell, that some kind of bus service was going to be running in Carrollton's area. But then it kind of fell by the wayside, like a lot of things do around Carrollton. It kind of gets thrown in the cracks. I don't know. I would have to do more study on it, and somebody would have to give me more information. I'm not at liberty to really get too far into that one, I'm sorry.
Familiar with several studies that have taken place regarding transportation involving Three Rivers. And in cities like this, it is important, those of us who have portable transportation or normal means of transportation, we take transportation for granted because we can go to Publix wherever we need to go at any time. But there's a number of individuals who don't have the ability to move around. We're quite aware of that. And there's even alternative sources here. Of course, we have taxis and those type of things. At the same time, you have to look at really the use of particular transportation and how that cost can be funded. So again, I would be more inclined to consider, the validation of those studies to find out, what kind of use we would have, what kind of funding would be available, and then also consider other sources of transportation alternatives that are reasonable and affordable. You know, as we continue to look at the city, you know, going forward, we still want to consider just the whole means of transportation in terms of the movement of individuals within our transportation, including corridors, green space, you know, walking corridors, those type of things. That doesn't take away from the need for individuals to have transportation, but we still want to make sure that as we consider these things, that we look at the cost, the use, you know, the valuations, liability. I know Community Foundation had one of its groups that it supported, and they've had various programs for individuals to help assist in finding transportation affordably. I know one of several charitable groups have set that up. So those ideas could be expanded so that we continue to support those who would need transportation in a meaningful, economical, safe, efficient manner that's reliable, that we can all be proud of, but also to meet the needs of those who are in need as we find out actually what those needs are.
We have talked at council and also with the county about a public transportation system. It would not be prohibitively expensive to do it, although it would be, you know, it would be a project. But what we've found in the limited studies that the council has done and the research we've done is that there just doesn't seem to be enough demand for it at this point in time. I just don't know if it would get very much usage. You know, and I wouldn't, there again, I wouldn't have any objection if somebody showed me a study that we needed. I think it's a good idea, and certainly it's something that, you know, that the city and the county can work together on. But at this point in time, I just don't think I don't think the need's there at this point. So if I'm proven wrong, then I would, you know, I would certainly take a look at it. But I think we still need some more in-depth study and information regarding a requirement for the public transportation system. But that's it. Thank you.
The next question will be answered first by Fred. Recently, a study was made on making the square or difficult situations that occur due to traffic flow and those type of things. At the same time, you have merchants that are vendors there who want to have a means to be able to operate a successful business. And I know being a businessman, have people park nearby. Albeit we do have parking decks and those type of things. So as we look at that, I mean, it really is. I've always wanted the square to be a destination. People say I'm going to the square for a purpose. So any means that makes that process much better from an aesthetic point of view, traffic flow, those things will be very important to us. At the same time, I know there's other parties that are involved, the DOT, there's certain rules that prohibit certain types of things, but as far as it goes, as far as the square, you know, I think that, you know, pedestrian-friendly square and other avenues within our city would be very important for green space for people's ability to move around. So I would still, again, look at that study. I'm always, you know, looking at studies to see, you know, what really comes out of there. Again, what use would be there, who would be impacted. I lobbied in Washington for 9 years. One thing I learned, you make one consideration, sometimes you impact another. So you want to make sure all parties are at the table. Again, so we can continue to make our downtown vibrant. And part of that is making that centerpiece of our community where people have a destination spot.
We did quite a bit of research. Several different studies were done. We hired some traffic engineers that came in and looked at some walkability and community folks that develop squares all over. Their primary, the first one up had a concept that our square was about 50 feet too small to do a lot of the things they wanted to do. Of course, we couldn't find anybody that wanted to move their building back. We had to look at it again. As far as Mayor Garner, tabling that proposal, he did decide to wait and get some more information and more study. The downtown square, in case I'm sure all of you know this, it's the epicenter of Carrollton right now. I mean, it's the activity, the flurry of activity, the amp, everything that's there, the restaurants and the shops and the services and everything else. That's where it's all happening. And for us to make a decision, and take one of those studies and decide to put a roundabout in or decide to put some other type of traffic flow in, we can't afford to make the wrong decision with square. It's built itself, and it's grown and built to the point where it is now. And I think we're close, but I think we still have some work to do as far as coming up with the right answer that will solve the problems of traffic flow and certainly the safety, which is the first issue, and the beauty of it. But we're still working on it. It's not a dead project by a long shot. Thank you.
Well, I never got invited to one of those special meetings they had down at City Hall. Fill in on what was going on with the square. I understand they had quite a few down there that the public came to, but for somehow or another, I got avoided on that one. I don't know how. I never found out that there was a meeting going on. Square is an issue. We have a definite issue of the square. I don't think we need to concentrate so much on the square as we need to concentrate on the side streets around the square and try to figure out a way to bring traffic that's not going to the square to go around the square and alleviate traffic up there that way. I use Dixie Street, go down here to West Center, cut across, pick up Bradley when I'm going home. Or I'll jump off on College Street, come back in, go down Cedar Street, and pick up Rome Street and go the other way. I try to stay off the square unless I have business on the square. I just don't want to ride across the square just for the heck of riding across the square, see who's there. I understand that the business owners up there want people to park in front of their businesses. I can't help it that people have gotten lazy. We have plenty of parking around the outside areas, even down in front of the train depot. I wouldn't be opposed to running some kind of shuttle from the train depot to the square. If they want to park down there, half the time that parking lot's not being used, but nobody wants to walk that far, so let's get us a tram system to run back and down that way, back and forth. We'll have to go pickup station and let it run that way. The square is vital, but it's not the only vital thing going on in Carrollton. I don't think we need to try to concentrate all the money and all our efforts at the square. We have a lot of perimeter property that needs to be developed and can take a little bit off the square, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Mike, the next question will go to you first. This is we have had a couple of growth-related questions. Let me read one of them, and the other questions have been very similar. Carrollton has a population of around 25,000 people. We have more than 6,000 apartment units in the city limits, and only about 40% of Carrollton residents own their homes. Another 40% of Carrollton residents live in multifamily developments. Would you support a moratorium on any new multifamily developments for a period of time? Mike, you're up.
That question has been discussed at length. We actually, I say we, keep forgetting I'm off the council at this point in time, but I still talk to the staff. We get more requests, to be honest with you, for additional student housing developments than we have for actual multifamily market rate type family units. We do have a lot of them that we've done some studies, and there is a high ratio of rented apartments. But that 6,000 apartments is not necessarily 6,000 actual multifamily apartments. There's duplexes, there's rental homes, and all those fall into that category. I'm not sure I would support a moratorium because that sort of reaches out and tells folks that want to come in here that it's not going to be a friendly environment for development. I do support very, very careful for high quality development as we approach it. I think there's a balance of inexpensive apartments and maybe apartments that are $1,100 or $1,200 a month, that are a lot higher end in different areas. There's a balance you need to find there. And it's there again, I don't think I'd support a moratorium on it, but I think it's going to take some real careful study. And the planning and zoning group do a good job of that. and they bring that information to this mayor's council. So I would give it serious consideration before anything else is approved. Thanks.
And Walt?
Being in the concrete business, I'm definitely pro growth. As far as apartment complexes, I think we've got some issues going on there. I would say I would support a moratorium on apartments coming to Carrollton at this juncture. We've got a development out at Bristol Lakes on Cottage Hill that's pretty bad shape. It didn't really pick up and it didn't run too well. Back in 06 and 07 when the bottom fell out, the city came back in with a redevelopment policy. And I think they redeveloped, they rezoned a lot of the multi-level apartment units to try to control some of this outrageous, uncontrollable growth. On July the 15th, we had a call city council meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning to override what the planning and zoning had turned down on Cunningham Drive. Why it was called on 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, I'm not really 100% sure. It had been turned down on a table at the meeting before in July, and then planning and zoning had turned it down. But then all of a sudden on July the 15th, it came back up for revote and it got approved. Mike, I think you made that motion and Wayne seconded it, best I remember. It went from, what was it, 6 units per acre, or 6 bedrooms per acre, and y'all moved it up to 8 point something, or I don't know exactly what it was, but the college wasn't even in support of, I don't think, of the Cunningham Drive project. We have a lot of trouble over on Cunningham Drive, and yet, planning and zoning turned it down, city council gave it the green light. I'm not into that. Then I heard Mr. Garner say that we need to create a special district just for college. We live here, college kids come and go. They're a vital part of this community for putting money in people's pockets, but still, we need to take a hard look at it.
As a business person, I believe in market forces, and so I would probably oppose any kind of moratorium at that stage, because I do think that does send a message that maybe we're not providing as we need to. Albeit, there's things we can do. We can certainly provide some enforcement, in terms of having these apartment owners and developers make sure they're well kept. Planning and zoning and city council, they work very hard in terms of trying to find out the best use for land use at all. One thing the public can always do is have more public input. Each one of you can come out and voice your opinion at those times. So again, I'm more not in favor of that. I think as we look at things, it's really maybe another byproduct that's at stake here, and that maybe I talked to Chuck Griffin yesterday from the housing authority, is the fact that we just have a dark affordable housing, which would make maybe better use of our land use if we continue to develop plans for affordable housing, mixed-use housing, those type of things, where individuals could maybe transition more into housing that they can have ownership in, have ownership of their area. Again, as far as what we can do, again, more enforcement, looking at more master plans, but not create an environment. We should always, as a city, create an environment for people to do business and feel like they can do business here. Not without safeguards, but not without some accountability, but certainly a message that we want to do the best we can for all our residents. So that's my position.
All right, the next question will go to Walt first. We've had 4 or 5 questions about current personnel in various city departments. And essentially the questions come down to this: what would you do to retain existing talent in city government and in city services? And is there any of that personnel that you think would have to be replaced in order to accomplish your goals as mayor? A couple of titles were mentioned specifically, but I don't want to get into specific personnel.
Can you kind of summarize that with just a little bit more?
Well, here's one of the questions. What are each of your plans talent. Police, fire, Carrollton. This question also asks, should your salary as mayor be increased? And then there are a couple of questions related to current personnel, wondering if there are any replacements that you might have in mind in any areas, or any additions as mayor. And you can use your own discretion as to whether or not you want to address that.
Retention is a big problem with everybody in business. And the city is a big business. It's a $20 million a year business. Bottom line, cut it any way you want to cut it. I have retention problems at Hollingsworth Concrete. We've been there 58 years right now. And keeping quality employees on the job, that are trained, know what to go do. Somebody will have to hold their hand. That's a big issue in everybody's business, not just the city's, not just mine. Employee retention, city school system. You know, you got some bad eggs, you know, but it's, the best way I know how to explain it is this way. You got a baseball team. You got 20 guys out there on the team. You got 3 or 4 star players, and the rest of the folks are just filling up holes. The way it looks like. I mean, everybody's got that. I don't know who needs to be replaced in the city. I don't know that anybody needs to be replaced in the city. That would be totally up to what I find out when I get there. What I will do is this: when I go, and you elect and put me there, I'm going to go talk to the janitor. I'm going to talk to the assistant that's going to say something to me about what their boss has done and what haven't done. I'm going to listen to the lower people, not the higher people first. And then I'm going to be open-minded enough to listen to what everybody has to say. It's not a question of what I'm going to go do. It would be the stupidest thing in the world for me to do, to walk in and just go to sweep out the house. And then I'll be standing there looking dumb on my face going, what am I going to do with all this? So, no, I don't think anything's going to be replaced right away. It'll be up to the people that we have at the city where they want to work with me or not. I think it's going to fall back to them, not to me. I'm not going to go in with a hedge hunting chop axe going and cutting people out. We need retention. We need the employees that we have.
And let's go ahead and address the salary question while you're at it. Let's address the salary question that was tagged on while we're at it. Increase, decrease, or maintain the same salary as mayor?
Do you need the money?
I don't need the money. I would be more than happy to give my money to open hands ministry down here as far as that goes. I don't know. That could be another issue for the referendum. We got a lot of votes going to be coming up next year. County commission primaries kicks off in June, I think. We have a lot of time to put a lot of things on the vote. One of those issues is changing the charter of the city. I believe that belongs to the citizens of Carrollton to decide what they want to do. Now, if somebody wants to put it on the ballot and you as the public want to vote it in, that's one thing. As far as me going up on city council and saying, hey, we're going to raise this deal up, I'm not in for that. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to serve you.
Now, if you address the dual questions of talent retention and the mayor's salary.
Okay, I'll be back to cover that. All right, so first of all, you know, in terms of retention, again, as these gentlemen have shared, run the business, it's you know, what makes businesses go, organizations go. It's not the computers, it's not the laptops, it's not the printer, it's human capital. So human capital is a very valuable asset, expensive asset, but very critical to the operation of the business or any other enterprise. So I think, you know, in other words, in terms of retention, we certainly have to do a few things I think important. For the most part, be very careful and offer competitive salaries and benefits to make sure that they're in line with the person's contribution and what they do here in our community and as they compare to other communities. Everything builds on comparability, you know, if you look at what we do. The second thing is I would also encourage those city departments to, particularly as you plan going forward, do some 3D planning. Our organization is big on 3D planning so that what we look at is who are the 3 people who are going to replace you if you're no longer here. That does help with continuity, helps make sure that we continue on. And at the same time, it also allows for organic development and leadership development in organizations. As it looks at other opportunities, I also make sure that we, for employees, they consider also intrinsic benefits. That just means make sure they have a good place to live, a good culture to enjoy, because sometimes from salary review for individuals. I'm thinking about moving here and taking this job there. Sometimes the main consideration is where you live now and what benefits you have already as comparability. In terms of salaries, or in terms of what people do in the organization, structures and all the parts we have, we can very well engage and maybe particularly on an annual basis, review some departmental budgets, departmental participation and performance. And that includes the mayor and city council. So as we review those items, we can determine what is a fair salary, what is a competitive salary. It follows along that same notion I said earlier about looking at benefits for what individuals do. So I think it's a little bit more a planning process, even as we work to maintain good people.
The Carrollton City employees and staff, I don't think anybody can argue that over the past 10 years or so, we've had a tremendous organization managing and running the city. You've seen water, sewer, streets. There's an awful lot of infrastructure and an awful lot of work that's gone on, maybe even that Walt didn't know about, that over the last 10 years. And one reason behind that is we've acquired some talent. We have actually 2 professional engineers on staff, which is almost unheard of in a city the size of Carrollton. Now those guys obviously cost a lot of money. You hire a PE, you're going to pay for them. So the management and the engineering staff and the folks that supervise your sanitation and streets departments and things of this nature, and your water department. Truly, do you want to cut the guy's salary that's working over at the water plant, making sure that there's nothing in the water that's going to make you sick? I don't think so. We have a good staff along that line, but as far as the majority of the people that work for the city of Carrollton, and I'm going to say the vast majority, like to work here. They enjoy their job. The public safety folks, the police, the fire, the staff, they like it here. They enjoy what they do. And most of the vast majority of them are pretty well satisfied. We did lose an IT guy, gives you an idea of what you have to continue to work on. He went to Baldwin County, Alabama, their EMC hire, right out from under us. He made this one to go fishing, but he did leave, and we had a guy that played his place. As far as the mayor's salary goes and the city council salaries, those are token. The salary it's not, the mayor's a part-time job, the city council's obviously a part-time job. I'm not sure that Garner even had an office, and I don't necessarily intend to, so I'm not looking at raising that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one, Fred will ask you to respond to first. As our community is rapidly becoming more diverse, what are your plans to ensure that Carrollton government, city government, reflects the demographic makeup of our citizenry, taps into the strengths of this diverse population, and meets the needs of our residents so that all feel welcome and valued?
Diversity question, that's good. All right, so, I've spent a lot of years working with diversity and inclusion, as we call it. I think, what makes any organization great is if you have a group of varied ideas, and that's what diversity brings you. Certainly, our responsibility or our requirement or our charge is to make sure that, first of all, there's opportunities for all in our community. So I think, that would be the mandate. We want to make sure that that's understood and articulated through all our organizations. At the same time, what we do, and I've seen this work in a lot of organizations, if there's been considerations about diversity, diverse planning, equal opportunity, or whatever you want to call it, those organizations have spent time, and I don't know if the city's participating in it, we certainly pursue it, in just doing more work in areas of diversity and diversity planning, training, those kind of things, so that what will enrich our community is a system of ideas that come from varied experiences, and that's exactly what diversity is. So I've been involved in diversity for many years. I benefited from that type of work so I can understand all cultures in our business and how to deal with individuals. So I think it's a great opportunity for us, and I would champion those causes to make sure that all individuals are considered in all different forms as it relates to diversity and inclusion, as race, gender, lifestyle, personal preference, those types of things.
Diversity-wise, and I'm assuming you're talking about the city organization. I would not support anything other than making jobs available to everybody, getting qualifications, making sure that they're qualified for the job, that they'll be the best person for the job, and then hire them without any consideration of race or religion or, for that matter, sexual preference, although I'm not too careful in that way. But it's the fairness, that the hiring practices are there. We have procedures that cover that. I don't know that I don't lean toward percentages, but the diversity of the community is very diverse, and it's our hiring practices and staff pretty much reflect that, especially the police and fire, and I think they do a great job of hiring qualified people. Thank you.
Walt?
Well, here again, it's a business owner. I believe everybody stands on their own 2 feet. Everybody brings something to the table that's unique. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer time to figure out what that unique thing is. Somebody comes into my office and asks for a job as a truck driver. The second thing I ask him, what else can you do? Sometimes they say, I don't do anything else. But most times people have other talents. They're hidden behind doors that they don't know that they have. Sometimes you have to nurture those talents to drag them out. I don't care if you're black, white, green, yellow, blue. If you've got something to offer, I've got something to listen to. I want to hear what you've got to say. I want you to tell me what you think you can do. As far as pay and all this, I'm not privileged to all of that right now. I promise you, once I get in, I will look into that situation. And I will become more and more involved and more learn on my side. I have the tenacity to go ask hard questions. And I believe that we have some good quality people working for us, but we could do a few more things about they need to move up the ladder, but they just don't know they have the ability to move up too. But they need to be encouraged, not downplayed. Not pushed down in the ditch, but brought up out of the ditch with a helping hand. So all most people need is just a handout up, not a handout, but a handout up out of where they are. They have a lot of things to offer you, they just don't know it yet. You have to learn how to nurture it out of them, and that's just the way we've always done business, and that's the way I'll continue to do business.
Right. Mike, the next question has to do with properties within the city. What steps does the city need to take in response to vacant or uninhabitable properties or properties that have become eyesores?
That actually came up today in a conversation. I don't recall exactly what it was, but it's touchy because you're looking at crossing over private property rights of people who own buildings and own property in the city. But by the same token, in what we've done in the past is we have, especially since the foreclosure blast back in 2009 and 10, and there was a lot of properties that now belong to somebody in California or whatever, it's difficult to connect with those folks. It's tough to get them to be responsible and do what they need to do. Now, there's some properties where the people are older folks and things of this nature that own them that just can't maintain them. And we do our best at the city to try to help them out if we can. But sometimes it's an issue whether it's a house or a building that is uninhabited, it's not safe, it's an eyesore for the community, maybe a drug den, and those are the ones that we make we go through the legal process, which is we notify the owners of, hey, this has got to be fixed, this must be alleviated, this problem is yours because you own the property. And then when they refuse to do so with the proper legal notification, then we can condemn and destroy that property and have an it looks a lot better with a vacant lot than it does with the old piece of junk that was there. So difficult situation, very ticklish legal-wise. That's why we have a city attorney, but we do address it.
Walt?
Carrollton's pretty old. Parts of downtown, surrounding areas, is pretty old. House won't last forever, a body won't last forever. Sooner or later, something's got to come down. My father told me years ago, said one of these days we're going to build enough buildings to house everybody we need to have. Unless we start tearing some of them down and put new stuff back up. We can't just keep pushing the city limits out. We're already way down Strickland Chapel Road on the south side. Traffic's horrendous. We have a lot of prime property, I feel like, inside the city limits. It's got older houses on it, whether it be on Austin Avenue, whether it be Harmon, whether it be anywhere. Houses, it could be Rome Street, it could be West Side, it could just be anywhere. It would behoove the neighborhood and the property values of everybody to go in conjunction with the owners of the property to see what we can do to help them out, whether it's to tear it down, haul it off. And I know the city's been doing a lot of that on the west side of Carrollton. They've been tearing houses down, boxing them up. They put a lien on the property, so anything ever happens to the property, the city gets reimbursed for what they put back into it. I'm not saying it's what we've got to do. I said, I think I've been in some houses to look at some stuff with some people that got concerns, and I'll be honest with you, I was afraid to walk on the floor. As a matter of fact, I was in one not long ago that the floor fell out. And I told the lady, I said, man, we just need to move out. You don't need to be here. This is hazardous to your health. You need to talk to the property owner or do something. And we also had some money that got lost some kind of way back when the redevelopment was going on, where we were buying houses, refurbishing them, selling them back off, and taking those properties and buying more houses. That kind of got lost in the shuffle. Next thing I know, we were buying houses down in Walker Woods, down on 27 South. We were buying houses up at Sage Hill. They weren't buying anything in the city.
I think certainly the city has a responsibility to provide for a safe city. Safe includes, our ability to have good housing, good structures, code enforcement, those type of things. So I shared with one of our colleagues here in terms of how difficult it is to track down absentee owners. That's very difficult. I grew up in the city. I visit there pretty regular right now, where we have a bit of blight in our city where I grew up in. So I'm really concerned about making sure we have good cityscape, a good state city. So some of the things that we really want to focus on, again, is following up with these absentee owners, making sure that they're aware of what our requirements are, working with them in many cases, working with those individuals who are having difficulty, maybe doing remediation to houses, so that we can still beautify our city and make sure that it's in conjunction where we are. When all those other efforts fail, we have to take the necessary legal measures if the situation can't be worked out. I'm a person who believes in cooperation and being able to work with individuals. Other things we can do, maybe on a softer touch, because one thing about communities and cities and how people keep their locations up has a lot to do with how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their property. They say, I feel good about my street, I'll do something about it. So one idea could be very well, we can encourage the neighborhood groups. There's nothing like the encouragement to keeping your house up in the neighborhood, encourage you to keep your house up. So certainly we can do those type of things so that we can have, a good city, a safe city, and a city that we can be proud of. So those are the measures that I would pursue.
Thank you. Walt? And the other candidates as well. Specifically, what are the assets or resources that Carrollton possesses that are attractive to business or industry looking to locate here? And conversely, what are the greatest challenges that make it difficult for Carrollton to attract new business or industry? How would you address the challenges?
It's our geographic location. We're close to I-20. It's about 10 miles south. We have good industry here. We have clean industry here now. Southwater's done a heck of a job. We built a tech park to nowhere years ago. It's now maybe gonna start to get some development in it, I'm not really sure. Clean development, they say. We need a little bit more industrial space. We're kind of running out over on the west side. I don't know, Billerica seems to be taking on more away from us than Carrollton does, but of course their proximity to I-20 is greater than what we are too. But we do have 4-lane roads coming and going, and transportation is the key to growth in the industry. You've got to move your products. If the roads aren't any good, people aren't going to come settle down. We did do the green belt, and it's important to people looking to come here and establish what they want to do in their lifestyle. The school systems we got here in place are working very great to attract people. That's the first thing somebody wants to know nowadays. If you look at a house, is what school district is that in, and do I want my kids to go there? I noticed in the paper today that Mount Zion was our last year of school out there, and they have the highest SAT scores in the county right now, of all places. I was amazed at that. Everybody's kind of downplayed the Mount Zion area, but you know, we're just a great community. We're one big county that's Carrollton sits in the city of and center of, but we're all just one big county, and we're all working together. It's not just what's going on in Carrollton, it's what's going on in Billerica. It's everywhere that makes it all work together. People from Billerica come to Carrollton, Carrollton people go to Billerica to eat. It's all combined into one unit. And the sooner we get out of this Carrollton, Billerica, Temple, Bremen area, yeah, I'm about to start preaching for you.
I know, you pass the plate, make it easier. But again, I share the same comments. You know, I didn't grow up here, and it's like amazing to be here now. I don't want to leave anywhere else but here. And I've been to cities everywhere from Paris, Kentucky to Paris, France, you know, so I really enjoy it. But again, we have a lot of great assets. I mean, it just goes without saying. A great location. We're the perfect distance from Atlanta. I tell my friends that we're just close enough, just far enough away. Perfect scenario. We have a great culture here. You know, we really have a lot of happy people here, a lot of happy, friendly people. I really enjoy seeing people all the time. Great assets, great health system, our tender health system, bar none, top notch, and continue to grow, continue to do the kind of things that make it worthwhile living and make it safe to live here. All you have to do is live in a community where you don't have an immediate health care system that makes a big difference for you. Green space, you know, the green belt, I was involved with that community foundation, and just what that does to the community in this size to have a green belt and what it does for the residents who are attached there to those spurs is amazing. We have a great educational system everywhere from K through 8 through our West Central Tech organization, University of Georgia, higher ed. Again, a lot of great assets and a good story to tell. It's very interesting when you go out and talk to individuals about your community to do that. In terms of some things that certainly are challenges for us or opportunities, again, I still focus on prepared workforce. I mean, we still have to have the means by which where our folks are being trained and developed through our educational system and otherwise. Those have been displaced so they can be prepared for the next generation of work that's going to be taking place. Also, good housing makes it for everybody to have a good affordable housing where we can have places to live and live decently. So I think, you know, bar none, I spend more of the time focusing on, you know, what we do have as our great assets, and we then continue to develop those opportunities as we go forward.
And Mike.
I concur with what they've said. The city of Carrollton is a magnet for business, for employers. The reasons are multiple. We have quite an offering of almost a menu of things that employers look for. We have the quality of life. We have the safety issue. We have obviously we have crime, but it's not as prevalent as a lot of cities. We are near Atlanta, but not too close as far as traffic and things this nature goes. We have the infrastructure. We need more buildings, more facilities and industrial buildings. Right now, nobody's built any in a while, so that's one of our shortcomings. We have people come and look, and there's nowhere to put them. And they said we don't have time to build. So they don't. But we've had some issues with our Carroll Development Authority and things of this nature that they are getting much better. Andy Camp, who is a great asset has come on board and is really doing a great job there. So we're getting looked at, where we maybe didn't get the looks we used to, but we're being considered now. And the reason behind that is the infrastructure, and the water system, the quality of life, the green belt, everything that you see in Carrollton, everything that makes you proud to be a Carrollton, a citizen of Carrollton, is a reason that companies come and look, and that's what we've got to strive for, is to make sure that they see our best side, and of course move to come in and hold plants here, employ people and create jobs. Name of the game. Thanks.
Okay, we have reached that point in our program where we have to now turn to closing statements. In these closing statements, which will be 2 minutes in length, candidates are free to say whatever they wish, including response to a question that's not been asked or readdressing a question that they may have responded to before and want to add additional information. Fred, we will begin with you, and the order is a little different in the closing statements. Walt will make the next closing statement, and then Mike will conclude. Fred?
Thank you. Again, thank you all for coming out. I mean, it's been a great forum. You all are been very congenial, let me say that, when you respond to questions. I saw the other debates that were publicized, and I was saying, oh, I got to prepare for this. But anyway, it's been a great opportunity to come out. And again, I think, to me, it's a great opportunity to have just as four these candidates up here who really care enough about the city to put their foot to go forward and say, I want lead. I think we have the greatest opportunity that I can see to have an ideal city, not a perfect city, but an ideal city, both internally and externally. Internally meaning that we do the kind of things where someone can say, I'm a resident of Carrollton, I'm a part of this community, I own this community, I'm very proud of it, so that we can have residents here, and that only can be accomplished if we do the right things from a leadership and vision point of view. From an external point of view, as we continue to go out and secure businesses to come here and take a look at our community, our region, it's those attributes that we talked about earlier is what makes a difference in individuals giving us a second look. So as a candidate for mayor, I am very proud to be here, represent a great city, and I would hope that I'll be given an opportunity to pursue that vision of leadership as we work to build an ideal city. Thank you.
I feel like I'm the best candidate for the job coming up. I have the tenacity, the education, the desire. I was born here. When we opened up our business first time in 1959, it was on a dirt road right in front of Southwark, where Till Street was. I had the opportunity to watch it grow. College was just a veteran college years ago. I mean, it was just a little spot, and everybody left. We're a thriving community now. We have so much to offer so many people: quality of life, recreation. Our Parks and Rec department needs a little help, but they're doing a heck of a job of what they have to work with. I'm going to be a strong advocate for term limits for the city council. It's not a lifetime position. I'm going to also be a strong advocate to get away from the pension plan. I don't care what the studies show that anybody has to say. I'm going to strongly push it down the road. Other thing I'm going to push on is House Bill 48 that was passed by the legislature about 5 years ago to help the small businessman here in town. Everybody wants to talk about corporate business, but the small businessman in this town is the one that keeps everybody going, that hires all the people. The only thing that bill does is eliminates the inventory tax that the small business guy has to pay on his ad valorem tax. Now, we're one of the few counties in the state of Georgia that has not adopted something on that line, whether it be 20, 30, 40, 50% of the inventory tax that goes into ad valorem. It's something that we need to look at to give money back to the small business guys. We make all these concessions to these big guys coming in. We give them a 10-year abatement coming in to set their businesses up. We charge them nothing for inventory. It's just not fair. We live here every day. We've been here all our lives. It's time to give something back to the small businessman.
Again, thank you for coming out and allowing us to speak and answer a few questions. As I said before, I've been honored to be able to serve Carrollton for the last 6 years on council. It's been a lot of fun. There's certainly been mistakes made over the years, I'm sure, but we do the best we can with what we have to do with. So I appreciate your allowing me that opportunity. I feel like it's important to continue the trend and the progress that Carrollton has made over the last 10 years. I believe that I can be instrumental in making sure that that progress continues. I understand the concepts, I understand the personnel. I have a great relationship with all the staffs. Public safety group, get along with well, the streets guys. I'm just excited for the opportunity to step back up and hopefully serve 4 more years. My wife says I'm way too old to serve more than 4 more years. But I do appreciate the opportunity. Carrollton is on the edge of being a great growing city. We're doing well. We have done well. We have the base and the staff and the infrastructure to make this one of the greatest cities in Georgia. We are right in line to do that. And I think that my capabilities and my experience will fit in with that plan. I appreciate your time.
We want to thank our candidates for coming this evening and all of you as well. And remind you that we'll do this again tomorrow at Carrollton Middle School for the school board at 7 o'clock. For the at-large position on the school board. And in Villarica on September 30th at 7 o'clock for the mayor race there. Don't forget also the meeting on September the 28th. Keynote speaker is Julie Walker, the state librarian. And I think that's all the reminders we need. Thank you for being here.
I would like to welcome everybody that's here today. We appreciate your coming out in this type of weather. We appreciate the interest that you hold in your community. And again, I want to thank you from the board for everything, all your attention and your willingness to participate. We'd like to call the meeting to order. And first off, Chris will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.